You're right, all. So if you weren't aware, there's a incident that's occurred down in Peckham in London. Peckham's now called Peckham, by the way, by the Africans that have turned it into such a violent hellhole, completely alien to what it probably once was when the original Anglo-Saxon Celtic native population of this country built it. But that's a different story. So they call it Peckham because of all the violence it caused. And there you've got a video of the usual suspects. An African kicking off with a South Central Asian, and I think the general gist of the story is the African lady wanted a refund for some product. She wanted cash for it, and in return, the Asian guy, the guy who owned the shop, wanted to give her credit and system, and she started kicking off. That's roughly the story I know about. Why this is taking place in England is a different matter, but the point I want to get to is it proves two things to me. I've been thinking, what happens when white people become the minority in this country, when the native population becomes the minority? In a way, we don't really have anything to worry about, because the power struggle goes on between the ethnic minorities. The balkanisation is complete, which was the original intention of the elites. You know, those of you that came here thinking this is all about revenge on us, you're nothing more than useful idiots. There's a phrase, useful idiots. So you're being used by people much more intelligent than we are, that have potential to change the world globally by manoeuvring people and encouraging people. So what happens is, for example, we've got the UK Black Business Network meeting coming up in October. We've got a Black Cyclist Network. We've got Black Lives Matter, many other discriminatory sort of groups. And also you've got Muslims, you know, the Muslims stick to their own. I saw a banking, Islamic UK business, what was it? UK Islamic banking, I think it was. Something like that. And I just thought that really shows that the kind of, what's going to happen is they're not going to all converge together. They're going to end up completely segregated and be scrapping amongst each other. So it just doesn't work again. But also, I've got to say, it shows yet again, black people, Africans that come here, they're just constant victims, aren't they? They can never do anything wrong. You know, they can go into a shop and start trashing it, and when someone restrains them, then it becomes oppression. And what was it they were saying? Something to do with Indian or South Central Asian business owners oppressing black people. They're just fucking lunatics, aren't they? There's no other way to describe them. And again, it shows who the real racists are. I think out of all the races, it's got to be a tough one between black people and Pakistanis for who's the king of the racists. White people have unfortunately just packed up and left the area because it's just a violent hellhole now. But yeah, so the main point I want to get to is, I wouldn't really worry too much about them taking over, because it's just going to turn into a massive brawl amongst all the minorities, really, isn't it? Like I said before, you have an African ghetto, Pakistani ghetto, an Indian ghetto, because birds of a feather stick together. But it's just such a pain, obviously, this has had to happen in Europe, and, you know, I think people have forgotten that once upon a time this country wasn't built. You know, once upon a time it's just a swampland, a moorland, a field, a forest. You know, it's the European man that made this civilization. We literally built a home for ourselves and then let every fucker in. You know, we invited the entire community over to come and live in our house, if you use that as a analogy. But yeah, just my little 2 pence on the situation on that story. Cheers.